What's up, men? Welcome to the Male Cartel podcast. Let's get started.
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just going to be honest.
It's okay to be fat.
Dispelling toxic masculinity and really redefining what it means to be a man. Men can cry. So it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be weak.
I'm telling you right now, not everybody wants to see you win.
You seem to be more woman than you are man. You don't have any manly qualities.
You give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay, it's necessary. How are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up, these men, they're doing impossible things.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Be a dangerous man. Being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. You can't be a good man if you're not a dangerous man. You say one disrespectful thing to my wife, I am not only willing, but I'm able to inflict great bodily damage.
I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim. I can't explain it, but you better feel me. Winners win and losers lose. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't know how it happens, but winners win. And if you create a culture of losing, if you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture. What's the matter with you? There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Here's your host, Nick and Shane.
What's up, men? Welcome. I'm Nick.
I'm Shane.
We're excited to be with you today. We're starting a whole new series of conversations. This will be a multi-episode conversation, so we look forward to diving into this with you. We just finished up a multi-episode conversation on things I wish I would have known when I was younger. There was a 25 that we went through.
Yep.
What did you think about that?
I loved it. I think I liked us when we were talking about doing something like that because it was just like basic wisdom, practical things. I think I had me even thinking through as we were talked about them, think about how I'm practicing those things.
Yeah. Still
to this day, and then still that I'm trying to just impart those wisdom knowledge to my boys, but also to myself every day. How about you? What'd you think?
I thought a lot of what we talked about could be expounded upon in
for sure,
just single episodes, which I know we have done some, like being dangerous and some of those things, but some of them it felt like, oh man, we've got, a couple minutes to really talk through this, and just felt like we were rushing some of it because there's so much more that could be said or examples given. So I think maybe we'll take some of those and maybe make them into some episodes later.
Yeah, it's just a thought, Nicholas. If you listen, you're listening to us now. If you went back and you listened to those few episodes, if there's one of those that kind of stood out to you that you would like for us to like talk through, or even maybe we can. We have no problem. We can go find an expert in the field. We can find people, our previous guests that we've had, and we can ask them those questions, and even discuss that while we're together. So just let us know how we can help you in that. If there's something that really you're like, man, I really like that one. I wish that y'all would talk about it. Let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this episode is brought to you by Grand Springs Premium Spring Water.
We still have water.
Yeah, we still have water. Same water we've been talking about since back in like October. And this from, hold up. I should know this by now, bro. Where's it from?
Alton, Virginia.
Virginia.
They bottle it right at the spring.
Yeah, maybe is that where you guys, is that near Hope Church? We all go to like your...
Randall, who got this for us, drove an hour out of the way to pick this up.
Bless your heart, Randall.
To drive it 5 hours here to pull up to see 16 pallets of water already delivered. But he brought 4 more. And so I took this and set it aside, at least a pallet of it for the church for our different functions.
For Male Cartel.
And so we are now sponsored without any money
Yep.
from Grand Springs Premium Spring
Yep.
Water.
I actually like this water.
It is good water.
Good water.
If you've ever had bad water, you would enjoy this water.
1,000%.
Hey, I do want to say, guys, for these next several episodes, some of you guys, especially young guys who may not be, married, husbands, you may want to tune out, but we encourage you not to, because we're going to be talking about the things that kill marriages, killers of marriage. And while you're not married right now, one day you might plan to be, or you very well could be. Some guys may just be like, I'm never getting married. Definitely understand that sentiment, but I know as Scripture calls us, if the Lord so grants us that ability to do so, it does say it's a gift given to some to be single. But the primary call is to be married. And so if the Lord gives you a wife, then you will want to know this stuff. And so we don't just give stuff so that, when you're needing it, it's good to have it before you need it. That's why you go to school before you get a career.
Bro, that's why you got socket set when you don't even need it, bro.
It just sits there till you need it.
You got spare tire, right?
Yeah.
Do you need it right then? No.
Nope.
It's there in case you need it.
So this is your spare tire.
That's right.
This is especially dedicated to producer Carell because he is still single, but one day
it's going to happen, bro.
We're praying that it will for him.
Would you?
He
do
may be
his
praying
wedding?
it's not at this point, but
What do you think he'll let you do his wedding, perform his wedding?
that is
Or
a good
would you
question.
be best man?
That is a good question.
Who would be best man? I think best man would be Tristan. I think it's going to be Tristan. I finally got a laugh out of him. Listen, guys, you can't see it, but I got a good.
I think Tristan should officiate. I could ordain Tristan.
Listen, I gotta come. You gotta,
Yes.
Man. Yeah. Listen, if Tristan is officiating the wedding, I've got to be there.
Yes.
It's going to be so awesome.
I think it would be special if his dad did it. But if his dad didn't do it, then his dad's at least his best man. And Tristan does it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell him I'm doing it, but then I'm going to have Tristan come as my proxy.
All right. So, but if he says no to Tristan, then Tristan has to at least be the ring bearer. He's got to come down with the ring.
Come down with the rings.
He's riding his golf cart.
His
go-kart.
His race go-kart.
He's like Mario Kart. He's going to come down. Oh, Mario Kart's going to come down. That's so
he could do the flowers, too. He could have something blowing flowers off the back of the go-kart.
100%.
Yeah.
Gavin may have to do that. I saw a picture of Gavin at a pool one time and wearing some whitey tighties. And,
no, he was wearing a Speedo. Straight up Speedo.
So he can
with a bow tie.
He can join Haley. Gavin can and be flower girls.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We need to go into wedding planning. That would be amazing.
We would be the best wedding planners, bro. Have you ever officiated a wedding and they didn't have a wedding coordinator and they asked you all the things to do and then right before the wedding you decided, oh yeah, this is the wrong side they're supposed to sit on? That's happened to me. When I first got married. I didn't get married, but like I officiated a wedding. The very first one, they didn't have a coordinator. And they asked me, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. And then right before the wedding, literally, maybe 5 minutes, I had to do the switcheroo because I had messed the whole thing up, bro.
I always tell them, you're the bride. It's your wedding.
That's what I do now.
If you want them sitting a certain way,
100%.
I have had wedding coordinators give like a breakdown of this is what I was going to do during the service. And I've told the couple, no, wedding coordinator does not tell me what to do. Like before the wedding, whatever, but during the ceremony, that's mine. I always sit down with a couple and go, all right, where do you want this to go? Where do you want this to go? And we plan it out. But the wedding coordinator does not plan that part, does not tell me what to do. And you can get married without a wedding coordinator, but you can't without an officiant.
Yep.
And usually I have a good enough relationship with those people. They understand, but
usually it's like, hey, we're going to run this thing about 3-4 times in and out. Tell me what I need to say at the conclusion about the meal, the reception, the picture taken. And then once we're done with that, it's like, okay, cool. It's on me.
Yep.
And I'm just going to stand there with them and we're going to knock this thing out. I usually do it in about 5 minutes. Super quick. I'm not running through everything, but I'm going to let you know it's like a dance. I'm leading you the whole way. Like, you have a breakdown, you know where this begins, and I begin to walk them through it. And I go, any questions? Because whatever you tell them, they're going to forget everything.
Yep.
So you want to get started now?
Yep. So we're going to run through several of these for episode 1. This will probably be a 3-episode conversation, but these are killers of marriage, and the number 1 is laziness kills marriages. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, man. Dude. Yeah, and I feel like, man. So my first thought when I hear the word lazy, I automatically think of this generation that's before me, the Gen Z, because that is the stigma. Not all kids in Gen Z are lazy. There's some that parents have instilled values, etc., but culturally everybody is lazy. However, I've seen those who are millennials be very lazy in their work ethic. When it comes to entrepreneurship, they will go get and chase everything hard to be entrepreneurs. But then there's a lot of ways they're lazy. Anything that's self-seeking, it's like they will just chase after it. So then you get to Gen X. Gen X, we have grown up raising ourselves most of the time. So a lot of times Gen Xers don't have a lot of values or things that are instilled. They learn as they go on the job training type of thing. I've seen a lot of lazy bins at my age. A lot of my friends are my age. And I've seen them when it comes to their marriages being super lazy. And when it comes to in life in general, I've seen them a lot of be lazy. I can look at like your the way you look. Like you don't go to the gym, you don't want to do anything. You're like, get to the point in your age. Because I'm saying Gen X. You get to a point in your age of like, I've already lived this life 40-something years. Now I can put it on cruise control. And then you do your same thing with your marriage. And then I think of the generation above, which are the boomers, I'm guessing. And I see a lot of men who have been lazy in their marriages. And so I remember talking to my father-in-law, who's one of the greatest men I've ever known. And that September I was on vacation. And we're having a conversation with him about, he approached me about his marriage and things that he wished that he would have changed. And I remember looking at him and I said this, Nick, I said, Pops, I said, I haven't been married very long. I just had a kid. I can't give you any wisdom in that. And I don't think he was wanting wisdom, even though he asked me like to help him. As much as it was to like for me to sympathize with him and to be there for him. And so we talked through some things, and then it was like 2 weeks later, we found out he had pancreatic cancer. And then that was it of the conversation. But that conversation that he and I had haunted me for a very long time. Even still to this day, it stays with me. And it's really about being proactive in my marriage. Basically, that's all it is as a man. It's just about being diligent, not putting things on cruise control, not just sitting in your lazy boy, chilling in your marriage. It's working hard. Men, we have to, the Bible calls us, Scripture calls us, we are to initiate for wholeness and for healing. We are to fight in our marriage, not fight at our wives, even though sometimes you got to learn how to argue well, for sure. What I'm saying is that you have to fight for wholeness and healing and all those things. You have to work. You have to do the hard work of leading. This is not in a pop music. This is not a movie type of thing. It's not found in like songs and all that stuff. No, this is to where you leverage like everything that makes you, everything that God has given you, leverage everything for the wholeness of your marriage because it brings God glory. And by you doing so, you display the gospel. And then people around you, and then your children, and one day your grandchildren, and those grandbabies, everybody, they see the gospel and how you treat your wife. And so there was a pursuit that Scripture teaches us that Christ pursued us. God pursued a relationship with us. He did all the hard work he did all the caring. He did everything. He didn't just chill. And so I would say all that to say this is that laziness will kill your marriage. It will be probably a slow death. Before you know it, you'll find yourself in a big, giant, deep hole, and you'll wonder how you got there. And then you'll surely have a lot of time to think about it. And then hindsight is 20/20, and you'll look at all the breadcrumbs and go, man, I wish I'd have done this. It becomes very evident then.
No.
But it was all there before you. And I think one of the first things, and I love it how you start off with that, is like, the first thing is like, just being, you've got to like work hard at it. You got to work. If you want to be better at anything, you got to work. So that's my 2 cents. Obviously, I can go around, but that's just me trying to summarize and just my thoughts. What do you think, bro?
I think a couple of things. One, what can also cause damage to your marriage is the perception of laziness. And so I think good communication is helpful in, there's been times where Nikki has expressed she felt like she was the only one doing something. And, I've always told her, I might not always be perceptive to go, to jump in with something, but if you ask me, I'm going to do it. Like I'm willing to help. And so expressing that willingness so that when your wife needs help, it will go a long way. That way there's not a perception, because the reality is there are a lot of lazy guys. There's some guys who'll say they're working from home, but they're playing video games.
100%.
And so not giving that perception in those areas will help when it comes to your home and your marriage. And then the other would be, I know that, for guys, you may be in a situation where you're married to someone who's lazy. And this isn't the female cartel. This is the male cartel. So we're speaking primarily to guys, but who you marry matters. And so I've seen where women are just as lazy and messy and stuff like that. And so, who you marry will help. But I think also putting forth the effort, we put a lot of effort into pursuing someone, but then we quit pursuing them. And I think that's a root of laziness. I'm going to do all this stuff to get her, but once I got her, I'm not going to continue to pursue in that way. And people change, and so you have to continually learn who your spouse is and continue to pursue them. And so I think that definitely goes a long way in kind of eradicating that laziness. But if you are married to someone who's lazy, leading the way and not allowing that to be part of the environment and the culture of the home. Nikki was babysitting for someone one time, and they left their house such a mess. I told them, I said, unless you clean up your house, my wife's not babysitting for you anymore. They got upset. They let her go, but we were good with it because it's like, it was filthy. It was messy, and it was really laziness on both of their parts. So I think that's very important. Number 2, this is very unique. Suspicion kills marriages.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Suspicion. That sounds like something like NCIS or something.
Well, to me, it sounds like someone's not trustworthy. And I think the being trustworthy goes a long way. I don't want to give Nikki any reason to suspect me of anything. So not, if I'm not communicating about something, or I kind of change my habits or things that I used to do, now I'm not doing those things, I'm going to start getting suspicious to go, something's up. I'm all about precedence. So when everyone kind of operates by certain patterns, and they have a precedence by which they do things. When people start doing different than that, then you start wondering, what's up? All of a sudden they're talking to me different. All of a sudden they're not showing up the way they used to, or whatever that might be. So that creates suspicion. So I think for men, we need to be very trustworthy. Nikki has every password on my phone, my email. She can get into anything. There's nothing hidden. There's no secrets. She has no reason to be suspicious or not to trust me. And so I'm not over here, looking at my phone like this. I don't even have a privacy screen because I don't care what people, you can see. I mean, now there's certain things I don't give people certain access because I am dealing with like private email from people sharing personal stuff and things like that. But she's not getting into other people's business, but she also can check my social media accounts, all of it. So I think that suspicion wears down on a marriage. And obviously, someone's being untrustworthy to where that suspicion would be present.
Yeah, dude, I tell my wife all the time, I was like, when you see that somebody texts me, feel free to, to check a message. I don't care. Check it. You see it? Because it just shows up on my phone. So if you see it, check it, and just let me know you checked it and you saw I had a missed message. I got a bunch of dudes, a bunch of my bros that that send me like funny, stupid men humor. It could be pile of poop and tooting and rooting and like just plain dude stuff. And my wife is extremely modest, as you know, Nick. So like she's modest as modest can get. She's learning a lot about boys right now by having my sons. And my wife is so modest. Guys, like trying to explain my wife, like she don't even know a lot of cuss words. Like I had to tell her what some people want. They would say stuff like that's really derogatory because she has no clue. She's like so innocent and stuff. And I was like, you know, I always tell her, I said, just be careful. Like if you go to click here, if you see a text from these guys, you probably, if you want to look at it, you feel free to look at it.
Yeah.
But you may click on and see a bunch of pile of poop or something that's a bro type of thing, and you may not, you know, it's not sinful or anything. So just know that you hear that, but you may not like that.
Yeah.
And so, again, my wife is like literally, bro. Like my boys and I, we had the bro night last night. The girls went to see Pride and Prejudice with a bunch of girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
They did that last night. And the bros, you know what we did? My boys want to watch Rogue One. They're finally at the age where they wanted to see it. And it's, you know, it's more realistic out of all the Star Wars movies. So I fast forward through one scene in it, but we watched it. My boys were like, between that and then this past week, want to know who all the wrestlers were that we grew up with.
Nice.
And want to know what was the big deal about Stone Cold. So like I had to mute it while he did some things. My wife, she didn't care for that, dude. Like I had to hear her go, listen, I think it's kind of inappropriate because now Sawyer and Andrew are fighting and they're doing stuff. Like, why can't they just keep their hands to themselves? I said, babe, they're boys.
Yeah.
You know, what was the big deal about pantsing somebody?
Right.
Pulling their pants because they pants me in the middle of the room. And I was like, they're just boys. So my wife is super modest, but I told her, I said, babe, you can check anything. But I agree with you, man. Suspicion. People have patterns. And I know if something's up and I see a missing pattern, my first instinct is like you said in the very first thing, communication.
Yeah.
Is ask my wife, hey, what's up?
Well,
is everything okay? Everything cool? And if once you tell me you're cool,
right,
I'm gonna operate as if we're cool. I'm gonna trust you. Operating cool. But my wife in my home, she knows she can't come back to me at 10:30 at night and go, you know, this was bothering me. She doesn't have that. We're not going to do that. Now, I'll do it the next day and talk about it, but you're going to know that's going to irritate me. And I'm going to go, how can I trust you when you say something is right and something is wrong, which is which? Because you cause a lot of confusion for me. And we expect that from our children to let your yes be yes, your no to be no. We ask my kids everything, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But there's a problem. So when I say I'm cool, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not cool, I'm going to let you know if I have any problem because I just really want to communicate, you know, what's happening.
Well, and that's I'll make a clarification because I know we got a lot of our Hope pastors that listen to this.
Yeah.
Several of them. The only thing that not like I say you can't, but she knows not to be tuning into would be our Hope pastors thread. And the reason why is because we have a brotherhood, and so intentionally that there may be a guy sharing a prayer request in there of something he's struggling with personally, and that's none of her business.
100%.
So that is something that it's like, you've got access to my phone. I don't lock that, but out of respect, you don't need to be looking at that because it's none of your business.
For sure.
And I don't know of any time, if she's done it while I'm asleep, she's not the type that pulls up my phone and be looking at it at any of them.
Wow.
She knows she has that ability, and she has my passwords. And but she knows how to respect other people's boundaries as well. So it's like, you know, in that thread, that's pastors only, and she's not privy to that.
Well, since you brought that, I mean, like I really like how my wife, like in the past, she has seen me like something on Instagram of another female that, and I mean, she's friends with them now, but it was like nothing wrong or bad or anything.
Right.
And there's been times where it's been teenagers. I do youth ministry. I've liked someone. She goes, I noticed you liked some girl. I'm like, oh yeah, well this person is this person, and it wasn't nothing indecent. It wasn't nothing. But when she asked me, I tell her straight up.
Yep.
I'm not hiding it because and anybody can see what I'm doing. So like there's nothing to hide. So if you want to be, suspicious, you can, or devious, then you would hide it. But I'm like, this is this person. This is why this happens.
Yeah.
And this is it, And do you want their phone number too? And stuff like that. So yeah, man, clear it up with your bride for sure.
Well, we're going off this list and just sharing our thoughts of it. Someone else built this list, but the next one really goes with that. So we're going to skip it. It's lack of trust kills marriage, and that's really what suspicion is. And so the next one is lack of mutual respect kills marriages. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say it kills everything if you don't respect one another and if it's not mutual. But in marriage, you're in a marriage covenant and you're living with the person. It's a completely different ball game. And there's a lot of weight to your relationship as well, a lot of responsibility. And so there must be mutual respect, how you talk to each other, how you handle responsibilities within the marriage. And I do realize that a lot of marriages' responsibilities are different. So I know some guys who are stay-at-home dads, and then the wife goes and works, and I find that odd, right? And but for some marriages, it's like the wife is a breadwinner and the guy doesn't make as much money, but his job is very profound and very significant. And then the wife's job is she makes a bunch of money and is really not very significant, they would say, and different work times and different responsibilities in that. And so I think you got to respect everything. I think if you do not respect one, then you're going to cause problems. And I do think it's a lot. For me, respect is everything. So I want to clear that up right now. My wife knows that. I'm going to speak to you with respect. There are times where I am sarcastic and funny, but that's how I was when I first got married. So she knows that's like part of my humor. To be funny, to make light of some situations. I'm going to do that if I feel like it's getting tense, I do believe that you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. But how you talk to someone is everything. And so if I feel disrespected, we're going to have a conversation. But yeah, mutual respect, it goes both ways. And it'll take a lot of work into where you value someone and they value you. And it really comes down to value because you respect, someone, they hold a lot of value in your life, and you what they say you value, you're going to respect them. What they do, their character and integrity. And so if you're a man, you want to be respected, you must have character and integrity. You do what you say you're going to do. You handle your business. You do all that. And you should be respected. If you're not respected in the home, then there's probably, I would do a self-evaluation first. And then if it's not, then you know that, hey, there's a serious problem and we need to sit down and have a conversation. But repeatedly, one person not being respected will be a cancer.
Yeah.
And it'll go from stage 1 to stage 4 quickly. And by the time you get stage 4, dude, you're doing some serious therapy. Like serious therapy.
For sure.
Go ahead. What you got?
Well, and I know a lot of men, feel disrespected or they're not respected.
Mm-hmm.
It's a language that men speak, and it is something that they look for from a woman. And I believe that it can be so easy to disrespect someone you don't feel like you're getting respect from.
Yeah.
But I think for men, we lead the way, we go first, and so we need to model the behavior that what we're looking for. And I think we can't submit to one another in love, as Ephesians 5 tells us, if we don't respect one another. And so I think that goes down into how we have conflict with one another. Respect is not calling names. The other is how we treat one another, even in one another's absence. So I'll give you an example. Not too long ago, I was in the restroom. The way our bathroom is set up, you've got the toilet in a separate room, then there's the shower and sinks and everything in another larger room. And so I was in the sink, and I went to throw something in the trash can, and it missed. And I took one step away from the trash can, but my mind said, that's your responsibility. I could have easily left it knowing that Nikki probably would have picked it up and put it in the trash can. I was in a hurry that morning, but in my mind, it immediately related to that's not respecting my wife. It's not her responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It literally takes 2 seconds to turn and to pick it up and to put it in the trash can. But there are a lot of people, whether it be the clothes basket or something else, won't do that. They take the lazy way out, and it's really disrespect. But then on the back end, if Nikki came into the restroom and she sees trash laying on the floor, knows it's not hers, we're the only ones using that restroom, knows it comes from me, not only is that going to communicate disrespect, but also on the back end, it might cause her now to feel disrespected, and then it creates a snowball of emotion within, now she might get snappy with me or whatever. One small thing that takes 2 seconds to do right.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, my mindset was that's your responsibility.
That's right.
Do what's right. But a split second, I went to walk off. And so it's just things like that we communicate respect or disrespect even when we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
We don't even know it. So I think it's just being very mindful of how we're treating one another and whether or not this communicates respect to them. And if we feel disrespected, are we giving the same respect to someone else? If we are, and they're still disrespectful, calling us names in conflict, that type thing, then those are just honest conversations and hard conversations you need to have with that individual, because there could be some childhood trauma, things that are shaping that behavior.
So, dude, I feel like the last several weeks, I've had men come to me and ask me, what did I think about today? There's a lot more men who are married, and the men can't lead in the home because the wife is overbearing and wants to be a leader and running the show. There's variables in that, obviously. But one instant, I told the guy, I said, my question is this, like, does he respect his wife? And I think that, and I think it can start there. I think that's kind of the beginning. And if he doesn't respect his wife, his tone, how he leads, all that stuff, and that's a total separate thing. But a lot of guys too, like, depression's real. A lot of guys don't respect themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be hard to do the whole respect thing if you don't even respect yourself.
Yeah, if you don't respect yourself,
Self-respect.
for sure, you're not going to respect, others. And so I think that's highly important. And I think even into some of the things we've talked about before, some of the vices. You don't respect your wife if you're, over here flirting with other women or whatever. It's disrespect to her. You made a vow to her, and so you should respect her as a person, but also the vows that you make
That's right.
to her. The next one, and this could be, we may end up having to make this 4 episodes, but this one is pretty big. Unforgiveness, bitterness, hatred, malice, and anger kill marriage.
Yep, kills everything.
It
Pretty
really does.
much. There's a lot there. Gosh, that's a lot. I would say a lot of these things really come from a lot of this can come from like many different angles. Trauma, you mentioned that, childhood trauma. It could come from one moment where one of your spouse could have slipped and done something disrespectful, and now you've never communicated that. You're passive in your leadership, and then you've harbored that, and that's created bitterness. And then they can do something that looks suspicious, and then you begin to hate. So then you begin to be devious and creating malice, like in the Palace with the Pacers. Remember that game, Detroit and Indiana?
Mm-hmm.
NBA. And then anger. And so those, just let you know, all those things right there are not fruits of the Spirit, the fruit of the Spirit. Not one of those, right? And so it'll kill your marriage. And a lot of this, I performed a wedding, did counseling, did all this stuff, and there was one thing in this counseling session that I was like really hammered home with the husband so that he would know, listen, he's the groom, and like, bro, you're gonna have to deal with this. And they get marriage, and the thing that you saw automatically in counseling, it could be the culprit, could be an issue in their marriage if it's not dealt with, grew and grew and grew and grew and festered. And then they were divorced in 6 months. And so there's a second wedding. I I officiated about 50 weddings at this point, and I've had 2 in divorce. And this one was something very obvious, and it was all these things. It was a recurring thing. It was childhood trauma from the female, and the guy, he didn't handle it like he was supposed to. He didn't. There's no advice. Gave him all the advice, gave him all the tools, and he just didn't have patience with it. And he came in very dictatorship and didn't. But he knew what he's getting himself into.
Yeah.
All knew it, plain day. And so, yeah. What you think, bro?
Well, you could almost put this in a pattern. Unforgiveness leads to bitterness. Bitterness leads to anger. They put anger on the back end. Anger leads to hatred and then malice. I think malice is probably one of the worst. I mean, you even see scripture talk about putting away malice. These things don't just happen. They're not just one instant type deal. It's not like, instant tea or instant Kool-Aid, whatever, where you just put it in water and then it's mixed up. These usually are patterns over time. Many of them, as I've shared in my own life, my anger and things like that was the root. Really, it was the outward behavior of unforgiveness, and that was over time. And so, really, what causes this is like you said, not having conversations, stuffing it down, being passive, and not dealing with issues when they happen. So then this issue happens, another issue happens, and I've always related it to bricks. You can do two things with bricks if you so choose. You can build a wall, or you can build a bridge. And so with every, offense or whatever,
you can hit somebody with it.
I can hit somebody with it as well. But what we end up doing is we lay a brick. And then if you offend me again, I'm not going to talk to you about it, but I'm going to lay a brick.
Yeah.
And then over time, I've built this wall, and that wall is bitterness and then anger and then hatred and malice. And it's all because we, instead of building a bridge to one another and having honest conversations, we withhold those things thinking that maybe it'll get better. But over time, all we're doing is growing resentful, bitter, and then it destroys a marriage. And so my advice, especially for men, and any ladies that are listening, is when those offenses happen, to be honest, to have a very blunt conversation, but in love, give grace and mercy. Now, there are patterns. There are times that people, over and over, maybe it's cheating or, something crazy like that. There are times you have to draw a line and separate yourself. But I'm talking about these are small things. What they say is the small foxes that destroy the vines. It's the small instances over and over that you just continue to build down and never deal with. So we're out of time for today, but these are the first 5. We've got a total of 28. Some of these will join together because they really kind of connect together. But over the next several episodes, this is what we want to talk about: killers of marriage. And for those who aren't married, you can learn from this for future marriage, but also these are good for any relationship.
Yep. Oh, I agree 100%, bro. Yeah. Hopefully these 5 here, like Nick said, storing your memories banks. If you're a young guy who's not married, or even an old guy who's not married, and if you are in a marriage covenant, take some of this information and use it. I know I will, and I know some of this stuff is like be rattling around in my brain as I'm like trying to make my marriage as best as it could be. And so if you found this interesting and you found it very helpful, please share with your friends and people that you know. And like we always say, get 1% better.
Have a good one.
Thank you for joining the Male Cartel podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share to help other men join the cartel. You can also keep up with us on social media and at malecartel.com.